Hello everyone, I'm Yvonne and I'm the Associate Intern for Team 5 in the Cognitive and Computational Neuroscience Division. And today my team and I will be presenting our work on improving artificial vision systems by simulating hierarchical processing in the visual cortex. Michelle will talk about the general overview of our research project and introduce our research question. Vidika and Arana will introduce the primary objectives and the specific goals of our research project. I will be presenting information on our methods, bibliometric results, and figures. In addition, we'll hear from Alfred concerning the results we obtained from analyzing the scope of literature trends in CNN architectures and similarities to the set present in the visual cortex of the human brain. And finally, Shashank and Gabriella will highlight key findings, discussions, and future considerations.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Hamad, and I'm with Group 5 Cognitive and Computational Neuroscience with ThinkNeuro. I will be introducing our project, beginning with our research question. So, our research question is: in what ways can machine learning algorithms stimulate the hierarchical processing in the visual cortex to improve artificial vision systems? Some keywords that we focused and tailored our research to were artificial vision systems, the visual cortex, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. I'll talk some now about our inspiration for this project, which was mainly algorithmic models used in fields like agriculture that use biomimicking techniques to parallel human vision. Human vision and the association with AI is particularly important when discussing things like neuroprosthetics, which is a breakthrough field currently in biomedical engineering. So, my group mates will continue and talk about how we approached this process and in what ways we were able to gather results.
Hi, my name is Pritika Yedakuri,
My name is Aranatana.
and we're going to be going over the objectives for our project. Starting with the primary objective, we are going to be examining how biologically inspired visual cortex mechanisms can enhance artificial vision systems.
Now we will go over the specific goals. So the first goal is to identify cortical inspired techniques in top vision AI research. So for example, we're going to go over layered features, parallel pathways, recurrent feedback.
We're also going to be analyzing citation and keyword trends to see which methods are most associated with improved accuracy and robustness.
And we are also going to synthesize insights to highlight which biological strategies show the strongest potential for next generation vision models.
A preliminary literature search covering the development of mathematical frameworks for deep learning and field use cases of artificial vision systems was conducted on Web of Science with a total of 1,038 top-cited results, out of which 200 were exported with relevant custom parameters, including keywords, author affiliations, and cited reference counts. Relevant articles were also filtered from the raw datasets using Google Sheets and Excel, and the final total of 100 articles was used for further analysis and figure creation. Our bibliometric analysis focused on senior authors, institutions, general distribution of papers, keywords, and citation trends across multiple years, giving insight to how advancements in deep learning and artificial intelligence in computer vision have evolved over the years, and the concurrent evolution of the architectures in relation to the physiological processes of neurobiological systems. So we stratified our analysis across two paradigms, authorship patterns and key trend indicators. We examined the distribution of article publications across different senior authors and their affiliated organizations and identified the top 15 influential authors and institutions with key contributions to machine vision and its diverse applications. The top two institutions with the most cited publications within our top 100 cited literature dataset were observed to be Carnegie Mellon University and NVIDIA. For our key trend indicators, we identified journals and their related publication count, with the top journal of our top 100 cited articles being IEEE Access. We also examined keyword frequency across the top 100 cited articles, indicating the dominant themes and research trends, with machine learning expectedly being the top keyword across board. And as with the advent of artificial intelligence use in recent years, we also explored how publication trends around machine learning and machine vision have soared, especially over the past 10 years, with the most publications appearing between 2017 and 2025.
Hello, my name is Alfred, and I will be presenting our results. So basically, we found that hierarchical CNNs, which are based off of the cortex, achieve 85 to 97% accuracy in real tasks. So these are convolutional neural networks with multiple layers that mimic the visual cortex, and they also process information from like with a hierarchical system. And basically, they work very well with detecting weeds, lane change detection in driving, sign language recognition, fire or smoke detection, diabetic retinopathy grading, brain tumor localization. And so basically, these cortex-inspired architectures are dominant in a huge range of tasks. And basically, um, we also saw that the CNN layers map onto the brain, kind of like a neuroscience analogy. So early layers are more like the V1 region. They detect edges, lines, civil motion, and CNNs do the same. They have very simple filters. And the middle layers are like the V4, and they detect shapes, contours, or relationships. And the CNNs, similarly, they will learn curves, corners, or textures. And deep layers are more like deeper into the cortex. They will recognize objects, faces, or categories, and CNNs will do the same at like their deeper layers. And so they map very well onto visual cortex functions that we are aware of. And so we also saw that recurrent feedback increases robustness by around 20 to 30%. So humans use feedback loops, which are top-down signals, and early CNNs did not. And so adding recurrence or feedback improves CNN resilience by around 20 to 30% with challenging conditions like noisy images or occlusions. So feedback makes AI more like brains and more robust. So we also saw that the top 100 cited articles show rapid growth in the following keywords: deep learning, CNN, computer vision, and AI. And these citations have risen exponentially since 2016, which is probably around when cortex-inspired vision blew up. And so also we found the cortex-inspired hierarchies are what are driving modern artificial vision success. So basically, it can all be traced back to hierarchical brain-inspired structures. And it's built on the idea that early layers find edges, mid layers find shapes, and deeper layers find objects, which is much like the visual cortex in humans.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shashank Sandiri. I'm a freshman at ASU, and I will be delving into the consequences of what we studied. So across the varied fields that we examined, we noticed that the hierarchical CNN structures emerged as the dominant strategy, consistently achieving 85 to 97% accuracies. The real-world tasks where these were implemented included weed detection, detecting lane changes, recognizing sign language, and localizing brain tumors. All of this is to say that CNNs, when they are modeled after biological visual pathways, will outperform handcrafted algorithms. This multimodal pathway design also increases robustness by 20 to 30% in challenging conditions. A quick overview of how we perceive images to truly understand why this visual pathway system is better. We'll first go over what's happening in our brain. First off, the light is hitting our retina, which sends information to the visual cortex. The visual cortex is made up of multiple parts, such as the V1, V2, inferior temporal cortex, and so on. All of these different parts are responsible for analyzing different aspects of the image. For example, the V1 is responsible for figuring out the edges and orientation of the things that we see. Different components work together to give you a coherent image that you can properly understand. Now, why does this work for hierarchical CNN structures? It's the fact that when you are giving an input into the system, it first breaks those inputs down into multiple digestible parts. These parts are then categorized by the system's algorithm, and this gives you a more organized output, which translates to accuracy. And so you're pretty much making a hierarchical CNN structure that is an analogy to visual pathways within our own mind.
Hello, my name is Gabriela Machado Munoz. Through our bibliometric review, we categorized the relevant papers into two, included the native deep learning architecture, where we identified mathematical or computational architectures, and the practical applications of deep learning models, including the creation of field-specific models and the retraining using generalized models. By doing this, we were able to identify potential computational structures such as the convolutional layering as key components in the improvement of artificial vision systems. Some of the advantages of the CNNs in the hierarchical processing simulation include the accurate image classification, the specialized pattern recognition, the visual responses from simple edges to complex objects. So, taking this into account, we can conclude that deep learning approaches such as DNNs and CNNs demonstrated enhanced performance in diverse fields from agriculture, urban development, medicine, and bioinformatics. So, this can be seen in these applications right here, which were taken directly from our dataset. Another conclusion is that, according to the literature reviewed, hierarchical processing, parallel pathways, and recurrent feedback models improve the performance, adaptability, and accuracy of artificial vision systems through their evolution on mimicking the visual cortex hierarchical processing pathways. But it doesn't really stop here. Some of the papers suggested that future energetically efficient alternatives with a higher speed and adaptability can be also done. For example, in the development of an artificial cognitive retina through the synaptic devices, which would take machine and robotic vision to an in vivo operating module. When we integrate other biologically inspired hierarchical models, such as the spiky neural networks in neuromorphic computer, which is brain-inspired too, we can get this kind of apparatus. The cognitive retina proposes a perspective shift to hardware-embedded hierarchies rather than just software architectures. This kind of progression complements the classical DNN work by reducing bottlenecks in speed and energy. So while these technologies are rapidly advancing in some crucial domains of this field, they still require further development to address the conceptual and practical challenges that arise.
This marks the end of our presentation, and we'd like to acknowledge and thank ThinkNeuro for their support during this research project and for the resources provided and the experience we've gained. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.